Meeting come to order, we'll have the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome to the Upper Chichester Township Board of Commissioners Caucus Meeting, March the 10th, 2026. George, can you do roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Holston.
Here.
Commissioner Delrosa.
Here.
Commissioner Baraka.
Here.
Commissioner Gaskin.
Here.
Commissioner Crowley.
Here.
Commissioner Pope.
Here.
Ethan Hill. Myself, James Williams.
Thank you. Tonight we have two presentations. We'll start off with an EMS study presentation by the Center for Public Safety Management, LLC. The Board of Commissioners requested this last year sometime for the EMS that we support, and we just want to have a study to see if we were in the right direction. So, and introduce you to Matt that started all this. He probably doesn't remember me, but we've met a couple of times.
Because you're hard to forget.
No,
So,
I've heard that.
and
But
thank
anyway,
you-
it's all
thank you for
yours.
not trying to pronounce my last name. I really
No,
appreciate
no.
it. It's really hard. So,
So-
Commissioners, it's an honor to be here with you. I've had the pleasure of working with Ray and Carl and with the board members on looking at the EMS system here and have been exceptionally impressed with the leadership, the dedication, the people who are involved in the EMS system. The challenges that are facing Upper Chichester are no different than the challenges that are facing EMS agencies in virtually every community across the country. And it's primarily economics. I'm part of an association and we track media stories nationally. And you can see there have been almost 4,000 local and national media reports on EMS since January of 2021. And the vast majority of those news reports are about the finances, the staffing, response times. So again, this is not something that anyone here is doing incorrectly or doing wrong. This is just the way EMS is being delivered across the country. The system is fundamentally broken. And it's fundamentally broken because the fee-for-service funding, the money that comes from the insurance companies who pay for the transport to the hospital, has been stagnant for years. The insurance companies generally pay what they want to pay. Medicare and Medicaid, the state and federal agencies that pay for EMS and transport to the hospitals, pay less than the cost of service delivery. That's been well documented in a number of public reports. You'll note that in a recent national report from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the average cost for a public safety agency like yours to transport a patient to the hospital is almost $3,500. The reimbursement is $2,000 less than that amount. So therein lies the problem with funding and then being able to staff and equip emergency medical services across the country. The Upper Chichester system and Boothwyn Fire Company does an amazing job with expense control. They have an expense per transport of only $879 compared to the national average, as I just referenced, of $3,500. So this is not an expense issue on the part of BFC. This is a revenue issue. And again, a very similar issue in systems across the country. From an overall financial perspective, even with the funding that the township provides to BFC and the fee-for-service revenue that they're able to generate, currently they are operating at a loss of $141,000 or roughly $80 per patient transport. So every call they go on, they are losing money. And again, we've seen this in a number of systems across the country. This, quite frankly, has kept us very busy because what we've done for you folks, we're doing for another dozen EMS, another dozen communities across the country. From a pure fee-for-service standpoint, a lot of people say, well, you know, ambulance service is reimbursable by insurance and by the federal government, by state Medicaid. So the agency should be able to survive on what they get reimbursed. Here in Upper Chichester, if Boothwyn Fire Company were to rely solely on fee-for-service funding, they'd be $500,000 in the hole. So the fact that you and others are helping to supplement their service delivery is what's keeping that service alive as we stand today. You'll note that there are several recommendations that we make in the report. It's currently in draft format. We're getting some feedback from Carl and Ray and others that were part of that process. But the bottom line is that without making some changes to the system, the costs to the township are going to need to continue, if not increase, over time. One of the things that we strongly recommend is one of our primary recommendations of the 15 that are in the report is a change to your fee structure. Most states that have recently passed patient protection laws for balanced billing for ambulance service make the insurance companies, they require them to pay 325 to 400% of what Medicare would pay for those services. Medicare is one of the lowest payers. However, commercial insurers primarily set their own fee on what they're going to reimburse. So to that end, several states have required that insurance companies pay at least 300 to 400% of the Medicare fee schedule in order to prevent the patient from getting a balanced bill. One of the things that we noticed here with Boothwyn Fire Company is that your charges specifically for basic life support emergency services are far below that 400% or that 325% threshold. What we did notice is that your fee for ALS emergency of $2,600 is about on par with what would be that 325% of Medicare, but your BLS emergency rate is way below that. So we would recommend increasing that BLS emergency rate to at least 325% of the Medicare fee schedule, which would bring your BLS emergency fee to about $1,600 or $1,700. What's interesting is that about 60% of the calls that you guys are doing here in Upper Chichester are billed at the basic life support level. Only about 40% are billed at the advanced life support level. So by increasing your BLS emergency rate, you'll see a significant increase in the revenue being generated from those services. You'll note that the changes on the far right there that we show in revenue, there's no change in Medicare, Medicaid, because those patients they're reimbursed based on a national or state fee schedule. So a rate increase would have no impact on Medicare beneficiaries, Medicaid beneficiaries, and quite frankly, minimal impact on the patients that don't pay their bill at all, which is about 20% of your patients, because whether or not they got a $950 bill or a $1,600 bill, they're not going to pay either one of them. So there's minimal impact on them as well. But the commercial insurers, the contracts, the facilities, that increase in just the BLS rate, as well as some other recommendations that we made, would bring in about another $128,000 in fee-for-service revenue. The closure of Crozer had a significant impact on you guys. And that's in terms of not only the call volume, but the time on task. Time on task is an important measure. From the time the unit is dispatched to a call to the time it's available for another call is what's called time on task. With ambulances now having to transport patients farther away, the time on task increases. That increases the cost per transport. You'll note that prior to the Crozer closing, the average time at a hospital was 27 minutes, and there were only a few hospitals that had delays at their emergency department of over 30 minutes. However, since the closure, we've seen the task time go up by about 5 minutes, but the number of hospitals where ambulances are having to wait longer than 30 minutes has dramatically increased. So one of our recommendations to reduce that ambulance at patient hospital time is to work with the hospitals to do whatever is possible to get those ambulances released quicker and remind the hospitals that the ambulance crews do not have to wait at the ER until the ER is ready to receive their patient. Most EMS patients are not in a life-threatening emergency. And by federal law, once a patient arrives at the hospital campus, that patient is the hospital's responsibility EMS does not have to wait. You can leave that patient, put him in a hospital bed, put him in a waiting room chair, do all sorts of different things. But reducing that time on task will help increase the resources in Upper Chichester and reduce the expenses of the system. One of the big recommendations that we make in the report is a change in staffing. Labor is 71% of your costs of providing service. So by having a number of units on duty, that raises the cost of the system. When we did an analysis of the time on task for the current units that are on duty, they are currently on a call 20% of the time they are on duty. The industry standard for a reasonable unit hour utilization time on task is 0.35 or 35% of the time that a unit is on duty that they are committed on a call from start to finish, from the time they get the call to the time they're available for another call. So one of the things that we recommend is reducing the daytime ambulance hours. Right now you staff 2 ambulances during the day. However, the data and the call volume doesn't necessarily support the need for that second unit. So by eliminating that second unit during the day and putting on instead an ALS or a paramedic level fly car to help first respond to calls where ambulance is maybe already on another call and wait for that second ambulance to show up, would be not only consistent for patient care, because you wouldn't be relying as much on mutual aid, but also reduce costs by about $200,000. And reducing costs by $200,000 and increasing revenue by $125,000 or $127,000 at the current time, you can pretty much make up the expense that Upper Chichester is funding Boothwyn Fire Company. However, having toured Boothwyn Fire Company's facilities, I would recommend that if some of these recommendations are implemented and the need for that $350,000 subsidy is reduced, you not do that right away. And that part of that funding that wouldn't be necessary to cover daily operations be utilized to improve the facility, make it a little bit nicer for the crews, improving some of the capital infrastructure, and investing in some technology that would make documentation and patient care much more efficient for the crews that are working on the street. There's a list of other recommendations that aren't as significant as the ones that I just mentioned. However, taken together, these recommendations could dramatically enhance not only the patient care that's being provided by Boothwyn Fire Company here in Upper Chichester, but also improve the finances and quite frankly, make it a more desirable place perhaps for people to come to work. One of the things that we would strongly recommend, and Carl's in a great position to do this now, is to seriously work with Delco 911 in changing how they do some of the dispatching. Delco 911 has great tools, great technology, great training and certification of their personnel that are not being used to their maximum potential to improve responses here in Upper Chichester and quite frankly, through the rest of the entire service area. So that's the high level overview. I know you've gotten a copy of the draft report and a copy of the presentation. I wanted to be respectful of your time, but also give you some opportunity to ask any questions that you may have about the report or the presentation.
Thank you, Matt. I'll start with the Board of Commissioners. I'll start down there with Derek and work my way up. Do you have any questions?
One question, with the loss of the hospital ambulances, was there any increase to the funding to the privatized ambulance services from anywhere?
There was temporarily some funding provided and resources provided by the state. However, they dried up pretty quickly. So currently there is none.
Any plans to reintroduce?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay.
Mike?
Thank you for coming tonight. It was very eye-opening. I appreciate the points that you made. Some of the items I'd like to go over, the basic light service. So you're saying that if we increase, first of all, we don't own the ambulance service.
Correct.
So these are things that
The
the
board.
ambulance services
Mhm.
would have to implement in
Right.
order to make this a better service.
With strong recommendation from their primary customer, yes.
Correct. Okay. So if we, I'm going to say we because I want us to be a team. If we increase the rates, that would have little impact to the end user, you said, correct?
Minimal impact.
Okay.
Yes, that's the short answer. Very few patients would have to pay that difference. The insurance companies would be the one picking up the tab.
Okay. Two biggest things I heard was changing the staffing during, I would assume during the day, because you said the second ambulance service during the day is really not doing us any favors. Correct?
Correct. Your response times are great, because you have a lot of resources.
Mhm.
Response times have minimal to no impact on patient outcomes for 95% of the 911 calls. By having one ambulance and a fly car to back
Mhm.
them up, when that BLS ambulance is taking someone to the hospital, the ALS fly car is still here, responding to those calls and can initiate care while waiting for the ambulance.
All right. And then if we move forward to this together, making these changes, the other recommendation is not to lower the allotment that we're giving them now, to let them use that extra money to improve their facility.
Improve the facility and some technology. Best practice currently is that field crews would have tablets that they
Mhm.
do documentation on. That would help from a quality assurance perspective. It helps speed records to the hospital. It wouldn't require the crew to come back to the station
Mhm.
to do their patient care report. And things like that would really help the system.
Okay, and then just, I'm not well versed in with first response, but when we drop the patient off at the hospital, you know, I'm going to use layman terms, leave them there, and then we can go.
Right.
So then there's no legal obligations on the ambulance service if they did that.
None whatsoever if the patient does not need continual ongoing care.
Mhm.
If someone's having an active heart attack,
Right,
you're going to continue caring for them.
Right.
However, those patients get into the hospital pretty
Right.
quick. It's
Well-
the ankle injury that, wait,
let me rephrase it. If it's a non-life-threatening injury, they are free to go. If it's a life-threatening injury, please stay and
Correct.
see it through.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Just to piggyback on most of what he was saying. You said we're doing a pretty good job, but part of the problem is. Basically when the ambulance service gets paid, it's not getting paid enough.
Correct.
And
Welcome
us
to the club.
helping, that need is there. We can't stop.
With some of the changes, you would narrow that gap.
Right, but,
And over time.
but
you could
that
still narrow-
problem's not gonna go away.
Probably not at the level
Okay.
of service that
So-
you want.
So should we anticipate on putting more in the future, have to give them more assistance?
It would depend on the service level and it would depend on other factors. So what I would recommend you do that now is working together with BFC to develop the budget, the funding, all those things. And then you guys approve their budget and the funding level that you're going to provide as part of that budget based on some service level agreements that you have with them.
All right, so I'll put it in layman's terms, as Michael would say. We should probably budget high every year. Not try to keep it tight to where,
For the next couple of years, I'd recommend keeping it where it is
okay,
because you can make up some of that difference in cost increases with the rate changes. But once some of the gaps are addressed with facilities and technology and some of those things, it's a new day. And
Well,
now you
we're
can
doing pretty
really
good,
work on it.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
okay.
I think, Joe, I think what Matt is trying to inform us that those items that we were talking about, that increasing the fees for the BLS, eliminating the second ambulance during the day, and
But-
changing the staffing. If it sounds like to me, if we make those adjustments, our costs are going to go
Correct.
down.
But they will.
But our assistance ain't gonna go away. It's always
It-
gonna be there.
It could, if you wanted the facilities and the technology to stay
In
the
a
way that
perfect
it
world.
is. But there are some real gaps there.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how I want to do this. Because I do have answers. I met with the EMS with the study. I know, I don't want to, I guess, Carl, can you answer some of the questions for us, please? Well, the one that the increase of the BOS billing. Uh,
Maybe more general ed to Carl, like, Carl, have you reviewed it? Are there,
Carl, you want to state your name for the,
are there
Yeah.
recommendations in here, Carl, that,
I'll do a lot of leaning. Oh, there we go. Okay.
are there recommendations in here, Carl, that, the ambulance company's gonna embrace and kind of move on or, have difficulty with?
So let's just say that we have spent, and Matt, thank you for everything, because have spent a lot of our time away from our normal duties and trying to look at this. First of all, work with these guys, provide the data, go back and re-provide the data and massage and, understand that. So there's a lot of work that went into this. We have looked at the results now and multiple iterations of this. I'm going to say at a high level, we appreciate everything that's been brought forward here. I think there's a lot of good things in these recommendations. There's some things I don't really agree with. Like, when we see how it works out operationally, it doesn't quite fit. But there's things we've already acted on. So that's kind of a high level
can,
overview of that.
what's the number one thing you already implemented that was recommended in the study?
So
The
Yeah.
number one part.
I'll say that let's talk about rates,
Right.
dollars, which is important. We looked at that, but we don't look at our, first of all, we spend at least we were every month with George, with Ray, looking at our finances in detail. And I'm saying in detail, sometimes at a painful level. George takes a lot of time, and Ray, and trying to understand what we do, how we do it. So I think they're pretty comfortable with the numbers that we have, say that first of all. To look at what the study recommended, it said we're good with the ALS rates. So that's fine. We looked at the BLS rate. We thought, okay, how do we modify that? We don't do that in a vacuum. We work with a billing company. We do nothing with billing internally. Everything goes to this company. They're the agency that does it. Working with them, they said, look, appreciate what CPSM recommends, but the BLS rate at $1,700 doesn't look like it's going to pan out. Recommendation was we go to 1,300. We went from 950 to 1,300 at the beginning of this year. So ALS is the same, BLS went up. We actually also raised our non-transport rate up, went from 150 to 250. I don't know if you had that on your slide.
It's buried in there, but too much detail.
So, that has been done already.
What's interesting about the BLS rate, just to amplify, if you look at the cost of putting an ambulance in front of an address, the cost to put a paramedic ambulance in front of an address is justified at a rate of $2,600. The difference between an EMT hourly rate and a paramedic hourly rate, peanuts. So the cost to put an ambulance in front of an address on a BLS call should be very similar to the cost of putting an ALS ambulance there, and the fee should be similar. There are agencies across the country that bill the same, whether it's an ALS call or BLS call, and they're at $2,500.
I'm going to point out something else that, we like the idea of having the fly car, medic car. Right now, I don't know how everybody understands this and how we work, but we've got two ambulances. Both are ALS capable, but one is always ALS. One has a medic and an EMT in it 24/7. That's the goal. The other one, the BLS unit, is only staffed from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. We started doing that as we looked at what was happening with Crozier and this increased demand. We went from 2,800 some calls and the year before to last year, we jumped up to over 3,300. So call volume is going way up. And we started seeing that we're getting pulled in a lot of places, and it just happens. So we tried the model with the car. and we tried it for 2 months as a kind of a trial basis. It really didn't pan out financially for us. We don't have a newer vehicle. It was part of it. We had to do a lot of maintenance. One of the things we saw earlier this month or last month was that we put the car in service out of need, necessity, because one of our ambulances went down. We don't have a backup. Extensive repairs were needed. So we had one ambulance and one car for almost a week. Interestingly enough, what happened under normal operating circumstances, the county started dispatching that car all over the place because now we have a car. Oh, now it's a medic and he's a standalone, he's available. So that took that resource away. And if we had a second call in town, we only have one ambulance. So if the one ambulance, the one BLS ambulance went somewhere in our town and we needed that ALS, the medic car, it might not have been available. So it was a pretty eye-opening experience we had for, I think it was about a week or a little more than a week, 2 weeks that we had, just to see that happening. So we are not in favor of reducing our services, just to pull the BLS unit off the street and just say, oh, we're just going to go with a BLS unit and the medic car. You know, for what it's worth, I know we had a bunch of calls today, at least twice. I was in this empty station. Why? There was one call in town, and shortly thereafter, there comes another call. You can go on that. And we looked at this in detail. Our peak time between 8 in the morning and 8 at night. That's when this car is, for the second BLS ambulance is up, and it's in service for us. And it does, you know, I'd love to have a report on that. I was trying to see if I could get some data on it. I think we could probably come up with that, but the number of times that we get, you know, concurring calls. But that's what we're trying to address, is that we have enough resources to handle the emergencies and to provide the best service that we can for the people that we have to service. So a lot of good things that I see here. Admittedly, there's a whole stack that are related to the 911 center, which we don't have a ton of influence on. We can maybe try and work, and that would be great. Get the ball rolling, but we just don't have the influence.
Right.
Wall time at hospitals is a huge problem, where we have to wait. You got a patient on the stretcher and we're, waiting. Our medical director, we flat out wanted to do what you said. And so, look, just find a chair, put the person in. We're not allowed, he doesn't want us to do anything like that. Legally, that has to be determined. I can say that a lot of times if you get in there, they triage the patient at the hospital, they get them to the, fast track into the triage area, get them off the stretcher. Great. If they need a bed, you might have to wait. And we've had wait times that were over an hour. That's crazy sometimes. But there's many ambulances waiting for the same thing. So,
All right, Carl.
sorry.
I don't want to cut you off.
can go on
but,
for hours.
No, we can't. Because I understand your pain. What he's getting at is, because we talked about this the other night too. They're implementing some of the stuff. The 911 system is almost, it's possibility of doable to work with them, but they're the ones that dictate to us. We can't dictate to the 911 because the county runs it. We don't. The hospital waits. I've read articles, seen articles in Chester County. It's all over. Until we get some hospitals open, they're always going to have a wait at the hospitals. Unfortunately, I'm experiencing that. I've been in the ER personally with family members, and I see it. There's beds everywhere, and there's ambulances throughout the whole county that go in there that have to sit there and wait. The wait time going, it was my understanding in the study, it stated that the recommendation was more or less be available once you leave that hospital. Well, if we're in Chester County or Christiana, and I ran ambulance service in late 70s, early 80s, and I wouldn't have done it back then either, is you don't become available until you get closer to Upper Chi, because that's putting you in a situation you don't want to be, because if there isn't another unit available in a life situation, you want that one there first. It takes us too long to get from Chester County or Christiana to get back in, for us to be available when I'm leaving Christiana. I understand the study. We're hoping it improves if the hospitals get open again, but realistically, they will not be doing the service of the EMS service out of the hospitals. And it's tough. I mean, I could go on and on like Carl too, but I will let the board know that they are implementing some of the recommendations. And I think George, Ray, and their team, when they meet, will may start seeing some of that. Not now. I mean, it might take till June to actually see maybe increase, but it's tough. It's really tough. But there's,
And again, not
and right
unique
now,
here.
there is no money for capital reserves for replacing anything or the improvements of the facility. So with the extra money coming in, and like Commissioner Bianco was saying, and I'm not quite sure, Commissioner Gaudioso was saying was, we don't want to reduce the funding, but doesn't mean we have to raise it, but we need to do that. Right, at this time, because we're not gonna know anything. And they did, just on our part that I saw, meeting with them. When we did the model, because I mentioned this to this board, when Crozier closed, I pushed these guys to put that A car in service. And what happened was it actually bit us in the butt. Not because we got the professional guys doing the job, but they weren't even in our town anymore. So what happened was our payroll went up to $55,000 for that month because we had the ambulance service and the medic. But the medic wasn't even in our own town. So now they reversed the model a little bit, put the second ambulance on, and their payroll is down to $35,000 a month. So
With two people versus one?
With the two vehicles, without, right. So and then the other issue could be, and I don't want to beat a dead horse there because we call going on, but I invite every commissioner here to meet up with Carl to understand the service, go to the facilities, tour, and take your time, ask all the questions in the world.
Well, yeah, me and Carl met. I'm probably the most critical one about the ambulance service here. So, and I've always said that, look, I love the idea that we have our own ambulance service in town. And I've always said, I just want to make sure that it's being run properly. And the one thing, like me and Carl and Ed, when we were there, I think my one question was the second ambulance and the staffing. And can we cut back in order to save money without causing any risks to the township? And I think that's one thing, maybe if you can provide more information to the board to see whether or not it's feasible or if it's not feasible. And that's one thing I think me personally, I would like to see more information about that before I make a final.
Yeah, absolutely. And
decision.
part of the data is already in there. And Carl mentioned the duplicate calls, we call it back-to-back calls.
Mhm.
That analysis is in the data report as well. And it's about 13% of the time that there's 2 calls within the same hour. And then it drops to way below that for 3 calls.
Okay. Any other questions up here? If not, I thank you very much. Matt?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carl?
Carl,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'll give you a card.
Oh, yes, you need his card. His name is like this. You thought my name was bad, but this one need his card. The second presentation is going to be the Upper Chichester Library of its annual report. And Teresa and Dawn will be presenting that. Yes, just be careful.
At your own risk.
Good evening. Dear Township Commissioners, George Needles, and honored guest. It's a privilege to be here tonight. On behalf of the Upper Chichester Library, our Board of Trustees, our dedicated staff, and our remarkable volunteers. I'm Terry Smedili, the library director. I would first like to extend a warm welcome to our newly elected commissioners. Congratulations, Derek and Brett. We look forward to your leadership and to working together in service of our community. Tonight, we provided the annual report. As we reflect on 2025, we do so with great pride and gratitude. This past year marked a period of growth and a significant progress toward a long-awaited milestone, the future home of the Upper Chichester Library. None of this would have been possible without the township's steadfast support, partnership, and belief in the essential role of a strong public library. We are so grateful. Throughout the year, our community partnerships continued to flourish. We engaged with the Vice President of S&T Bank, who expressed interest in sponsoring future events at the new library. Representative Carol Kazim's office visited the library on multiple occasions, providing residents with valuable information such as Real ID and rent rebate programs. During National Library Week, April 6th to April 12th, we proudly distributed free library memberships and books to welcome our new patrons. In addition, our book sale and 2 bingo fundraisers were met with enthusiastic community support. Programming remained a cornerstone of our mission in 2025. Children's programs such as Mr. Andrews' Musical Storytime, Miss Muddy Puddles, the Puppet Show, and Brianna's art class were exceptionally well attended, and we'll proudly bring them and continue them in 2026. Our summer program brought together performers such as a magician, a juggler, a reptile expert, and we all enjoyed family fun events every Wednesday evening in July. Our Tuesday morning cafe continued to bring senior citizens together to socialize and to learn various topics. We look forward to the future with great anticipation as we monitor the progress of the fire station project. Together, let's turn the page of our next chapter in the library's history. As we build, we learn, and we grow together. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
You're
Do
welcome.
members have any questions?
I know we had a tenacious roller coaster ride, but my kids are very excited about the library going in, and so mine. I think it's a very good spot. It is a good spot.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Finally here.
Very much. It's been a tough road, but you know what, we're here. Yeah, we're happy.
You just never gave up, though. I'll give you that.
Yep, and we thank you very much. We'll move along. I have a couple announcements. As a matter of fact, one of it's for the library. Announcement that the Upper Chichester Township Parks and Recreation Department and Library will host a bingo event on Saturday, March 28th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Come join us for a fun evening of bingo, prizes, and community fun. Tickets can be purchased at the municipal building in the library. You still have tickets left? Okay, just want to let people know.
Let everybody have some.
Okay. Also, we have another announcement that the Upper Chichester Township Parks and Recreation Department will host the annual egg hunt and Easter celebration on Saturday, April 4th, 2026 at 11 a.m. at the Fury Road Fields. Come join us for a fun-filled day of family activities and a traditional egg hunt. Are we doing a joint venture with the church still? Okay. What's that, the Chichester Wesleyan Church? I think that's what it is. There. Okay. That's the Chichester Restoration Church and the Chi United Wesleyan Church, both on Chi Avenue. So another announcement, the township offices and the Joan Morrison Fieldhouse will be closed on April 3rd, Friday, April 3rd, for Good Friday. There will be no trash collection on Friday, April 3rd, and Friday's regular trash routes will be collected on Monday, April 6th. Monday's regular recycling routes will be collected on Tuesday, April 7th, along with the Tuesday's regular recycling routes. Hopefully you're not confused.
Go on the website.
Yes, go onto the website. We're open up to the public comment. Is anybody out there would like to state anything? Mr. John? It's all yours. Or anyone here? You're good? Chief? Everything good? Put? Progress, right? That's good. All right, we'll move along to the meeting, and we'll open it up to the professionals report, the engineers report. Andrew Pokel.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. First item is a waiver request from Souda Code Section 505-35B, Section 505-32A to A1 for the approved development at 2034 Locust Street. So this is a two-lot subdivision at the corner of Pleasant Avenue and Locust Street. This was approved by the board last year. The project got underway, was under construction. The contractor, when they were constructing the project, identified some grading concerns and installed the curb line for the development 5 feet into the roadway further than what was on the approved plan. So the approved plan identified the curb line to be 17 feet from the center line of the roadway. The contractor installed it 12 feet from the center line of the roadway. And so at that point, when that was identified by License and Inspection Office as being non-compliant with the approved plan, they stopped work and are applying for a waiver. We issued a review letter on the 20th, identifying some concerns. The one is we had the applicant submit a truck turning template or plan to us. We were concerned with the curb line going down Pleasant Avenue and then continuing on Pleasant Avenue. There's like a, I would say like a S curve there at the intersection with Locust. And so we had them submit a truck turning template to ensure that a fire truck could navigate that S curve. The applicant submitted a template to us. It was a standard design vehicle fire truck, not necessarily befitting the dimensions of the Boothwyn Fire Company. So that was a comment in our review letter, was that they needed to talk with the fire company and get the actual dimensions of the truck that they have there and then resubmit a turning template to us. The other concern that we had was the turning template that they submitted. I showed the fire truck taking up the entire roadway in order to make that turn. So that would require a restriction of parking on both sides of the street on Pleasant Avenue in front of this development. So the applicant's requesting a waiver. We still have to see some additional information that they need to submit to us. But the parking restriction is something that the board needs to consider.
So Andrew, before we go any further, your concern is basically the street's too narrow because they came out 5 feet. So why would we even think about a waiver when it's tight over there already, even with the fire truck and car having to go by? And we may spec Boothwyn's truck, but that doesn't mean the next town over has a bigger truck. and then we're stuck. I mean, these guys did this off the plan. I mean, all besides, what the plan stated 17 feet, so, right, they went.
Yeah.
12. So they created the issue, which is creates an issue no matter what, even for the residents living there, parking on either side of the road. So why would we even think or consider about?
The applicant, when they appeared before the planning commission, they did indicate that there was a grading concern that if they had installed the curb at the location shown on the approved plan, that was going to pitch stormwater runoff back towards the new house. So, you know, one of the houses is a garage that's being converted to a home.
Correct.
And so they were concerned with pitching runoff or the grade back towards that home.
But
So
before,
that was their concern.
before they decided to put their curb in, wouldn't it have been smart? I mean, I won't say smart, but wouldn't it been the right thing to do is get hold of our engineer or inspectors to say here and look at it first before they put it there?
Yeah, keep in
Yeah.
mind, it's all already approved, which means it's all been reviewed, all the stormwater, all the grading, all that have been reviewed to the plan that was not actually shown.
Correct.
Right.
Not what he did.
We also
Yeah.
have heard from residents. Work was being done.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know what the other board members
Planning
feel.
commission people, we listen to the applicants, you hear what they recommended approval.
Contingent upon approval from the fire marshal and addressing the concerns in our review letter. So
And that's our engineer is good with that?
No, our planning.
the
No,
planning
planning
commission,
commission.
yeah, the planning commission recommended that.
So they had to go back to planning because of that curve?
They were seeking a
It's
waiver
the waiver.
from, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought. Right.
They can just build the approved plan. All good. They were request the board and
And whether we agree or not agree, the applicant made a submission for consideration, doesn't mean that we have to agree to it. So,
Yeah, that's why I wanted to defend it.
yeah,
the board members from and.
Can't just impede the road whenever you feel like it.
Is the stormwater issue now that we have an authority? Have they been out there to maybe try to figure out the issue with?
Yeah.
Stating that this was.
But we really don't know. All right. Any comment there?
we vote on next week, correct?
Yeah, I'm just getting it
At the
out
next
there
meeting.
tonight, so we all understand what's going on. So. All right, Andrew, sorry about that.
That's okay. Next item is the Green Light Go grant application resolution. This is for the 2026 Green Light Go application that is due at the end of the month. The previous engineer, Al Federico, provided a scoping form for a scope of work and a cost estimate for two separate projects and submitted them to PennDOT for review. The first project is signal modernization at State Route 452 or Market Street and Somerset Lane, which is opposite the driveway at the Sun Oil entrance. The other one is a signal modernization and intersection improvements at State Road 491, Damon's Creek Road, and State Route 3012, which is Meeting House Road. We met with Public Works last week and reviewed the sites, reviewed the projects. We reviewed the comments that PennDOT had in their review of the scoping applications. And it would be our recommendation to proceed with a application for a Green Light Go for the Market Street and Somerset Lane intersection. There's numerous advantages to doing that because of the ongoing work on 322, the location of the Somerset Lane project would be impacted negatively by that ongoing project, and any work that we do to signal, to modernize that signal, and that could relieve some congestion or traffic in that area. That signal is coordinated with other signals all along that corridor of Market Street, all the way from Somerset down to Concord Road. So that would be an added benefit. There's a multimodal component where it's both that intersection has a pedestrian component and a vehicular component. So these are all items that make for a stronger application and a higher likelihood of PennDOT to award a grant for that work. So we're recommending that that intersection, or the application, be completed for that intersection. The grant request would be $345,700. The township match would be $90,000.
Okay.
Any questions? No? All right. Next item is this is at the bottom of the engineer's report, page number 4. It's for the Community Action Agency event space. We will be requesting at the next meeting authorization to bid this project. Right now, Catania Engineering had completed drawings. Those were sent to Kelly Engineers for peer review. Kelly Engineers provided comments, and so it is back to Catania to address those comments, and then they would sign and seal the plans for the bidding. Remington and Vernick Engineers would then do the specifications, not then, in series with that, or subsequent to that, not subsequent to that. At the same time, we would develop the specifications and the cost estimate to bid that project out. We anticipate an ad date of mid-April, April 16th, and a award date of May 20th for that project. So that would then set it up for summer construction.
George, how big is that project? I mean, I know they got the pavilion over there now. I mean, how much bigger is that? Is it expanding much, or are they just improving that area?
Yeah.
Compared to the space back there, the center.
And then it's adding some inlets within the parking lot there, and adding ADA parking space back there as well. So next item is 2026 road program project. We discussed this last month. You have before you a map that identifies the adjustments to the scope that I believe you all discussed with the Public Works Department. Just one of the items that did get added was the alternate. There was an additional alternate provided on Chelsea Parkway, approximately 400 linear feet of roadway replacement. That would be an add alternate in the bid. So at the next meeting, if there's no comments on the scope of work that's outlined here, then we can go out, identify the quantities, measure the quantities in the field for the work to be completed, provide a cost estimate at the next Board of Supervisors meeting, so that everybody has an understanding for the costs associated with the road program this year. And then we would be requesting authorization to proceed for bidding that project.
The bid out provided the findings of the property, but over the documents, break down the needs available. And then break down to the design of the structure, going all over the allocation for the year. Just as a heads up, for doing this for quite some time, those roads are very far separated apart, so we probably don't have some for this property. But it's practically, it's
is, Chelsea Parkway for the alternate. I mean, how far are we on 320? How much more money do we really want to put into that place with the state?
You got some reason- and there, and we've got, you know, probably still 5 or 6 years before that actually gets.
Redone, right?
So my recommendation would be always to try to look at the most damaged part and try to knock off a little bit of it.
A little bit, okay.
If we can get away with the year of just patching.
Thank you.
And the way we would structure the bid is that, you know, that's an ad alternate. So if there's funding available, then we would include that or add that into the project. The base bid is all the work that is within the wards, and then the alternates are the Creek Parkway and Chelsea Parkway. The next item is the Fury Road Bridge Project. This is on page 5 of the engineer's report, about halfway down. Contractor did provide a work plan and a schedule. We had confirmed with Catania Engineering that there were no DEP permits received to date for this project. Because it's a structure that is within a stream that is unpermitted, it does require, and we're changing it's maintenance on an existing structure, but we're changing the diameter of the openings on that bridge. And we're going to be doing some significant work within the stream. So that does require a general permit from DEP that we confirmed with DEP. We're now preparing those permit plans and application to submit to DEP. That process can usually take about 8 to 10 weeks. The governor did implement a new program this year for expedited permitting review. We haven't been through that process to see any expedited review process to date, and so we're sticking with that timeline, that estimated timeline. So
How far does that put the project back?
about a month. Right now, the contractor had submitted that they anticipated starting at the end of April. I think more realistically, it's going to start within May. We are meeting with PennDOT tomorrow on the ongoing Route 322 work to see how the schedule is for this year, to see if that impacts any traffic, increased traffic that is going to be experienced on Fury Road, and see how that impacts the project as well. This project, I will say, is mostly out of the roadway. It's within the stream, and the contractor has staging areas that are done off the road. It's going to be more of an impact to the park over there, but we still want to coordinate with PennDOT to make sure that we're not sending additional traffic over there when this project's under construction. Next item is Chichester Avenue Signal Synchronization Project. If you'll remember, last month we were asking and the board authorized a grant for signal synchronization on Chichester Avenue. This is at 6 intersections. I believe the amount was $34,920. There's $337,480 left over in grant money. So we have identified a scope with discussions with Public Works to use the rest of that funding up. We've reached out to Signal Services to get a quote for the work. This would be all at the same intersections. We're coordinating with PennDOT to make sure that the increased scope will fit within the parameters of the grant and would be authorized by the grant. And so we hope to have a quote for you by the next board meeting so that we can be authorized to proceed with that. There is a time constraint here as this is a 2022 Green Light Go grant application. So the work has to be completed by the end of May in order for it to be eligible for reimbursement. So that's why we're proceeding with going directly with Signal Service, and they have the existing contract as well. So that match would be $67,496. And we hope to have a quote at the next board meeting. Next project is Johnson Avenue Streetscape Project. The county has reached out to the township and I identified that HUD is asking them to submit all of their payment applications for work through the end of this month. I guess according to HUD, the county's not spending the money fast enough. And so the contractor, I spoke with him today, they're going to remobilize to the site tomorrow on Johnson Avenue to continue with the streetscape project. So I discussed with them, the work that they were going to complete by the end of the month and have them submit a pay application reflecting that, so that we can get that. That will be on the agenda for the next Board of Supervisors meeting, is to pay that pay application so that we can submit that to the county. The last item I have is Broadway Avenue Twin Oaks entrance project. We did meet with the county and the contractor last month to review, make sure that the contractor had all the paperwork in order for that project. We issued a temporary or a partial notice to proceed so that they could provide submittals to us. The contractor indicated that PennDOT, all of the asphalt plants that they typically work with, the mix designs for the asphalt mix that they were going to use on the projects have not been approved for 2026. Apparently that's an issue that PennDOT is having with all the mixed designs. So that's holding up the project. Once we get the approved mixed design or submitted to us, we can review it and then authorize them to proceed. We would then have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor on site, identify the schedule of the work, and then issue the full notice to proceed so that they can begin that project. So we hope to have that issue resolved in the next couple of weeks.
Okay,
That's all I got.
thank you very much. Anybody have anything for the engineer?
Just one item. Did I hear correctly? You're going to meet with the 322 project team from the state?
Yes.
When you meet, can we confirm at the end of Flower Lane, that portion of 322, the extent and height of the sound barrier wall that they're going to put in? I just got some conflicting reports that has changed. I asked for the letter that was sent from one of the residents, but I've never received it. I just like to put the rumor to bed to make sure that nothing has changed.
So I did get the extent and height of the sound barrier wall, but the location I missed. So
No, I like to confirm the extent and height of the sound barrier wall. When I mean extent, I mean from point A to point B. How far is it running along along that 322?
along the whole corridor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
You're talking forward to like three.
Yeah, just that whole, yeah.
Or we don't next say.
If we can get the next segment, that'd be nice too. But,
I know that's still fine. I'm fine with.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Thank
Will
you,
do.
Andrew.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Now we'll move to the solicitor's report.
So first to note that we had an executive session immediately before the meeting tonight to discuss personnel matters and other legal matters with the solicitor. On my report, for one, data center zoning ordinance that's been submitted to the county planning commission for its review. And we hope to get that back in short order, after which we then have to go through the typical process for the public hearing and adopting. We do want to thank Commissioner Alston for your comments. I know Brian said those in nature. We had a number of other ordinance requests we want to talk to the board about, whether you want us to pursue. First one being e-scooters and e-bikes. There is a pending state law that is going to regulate them, already sort of covered under the state law, but there's additional measures coming in place. But do we want to also have our own township ordinance to regulate e-bikes, e-scooters, or roadways?
That goes to sleep. I mean, if it covers everything, do you think we need it?
I think it'd be redundant for us to have it. It's more of a cohesive. Do you think that this is nice? I think we're okay with the state law as currently written. It's okay. Next, basket.
Do we have to adopt theirs or no?
No, change the state law.
State trumps local.
Correct, yep. Next, basketball hoops in the street. There's a question that was raised as to whether we, do the provisions in our ordinances to officially hit them. So that's a discussion point. But I don't know, chiefs can go out and drag kids off to jail for it, but, zoning perspective or an ordinance perspective, the code side, we want to have that in place to, the property.
Does that take it away from the police and make it easier for our inspection department to, when they're driving around, if they see it, to say, hey, it needs to be taken off the street?
The way I'd envision it, it wouldn't take it away from anybody, but it would create an additional avenue for enforcement.
Well, I was always told if I had to call the police department, let them know it so they could, I don't know, because it was in the street. That our guys couldn't do it. So when I'm saying that if we create an ordinance ourselves, that enables us and not have to bother the police department to have to do it. Now, if there's an issue with it, we have it, we call the police, but I mean.
So nothing in the ordinance would take away the police authority, but
Right.
if we were to do an ordinance, it would come from those department to the problem.
Right, I'm not taking anything, right, I'm not taking anything away from the police, but if our inspectors see it, they could address it themselves then and not have to go to the police. And have that. Thank you.
There's also to keep in mind, what they're telling you to do is, they're telling us whether there's a violation, and a violation, there's a report, it's not. So getting people to actually do this very different. So really, it's significant resources in that department. When we are going to put them involved, we think they have enough to break. Actually physically get someone to do something more than overlay as opposed to convenience, which will play with a lot of people who just don't know the system and just.
What do you think, Mike?
We would go to property maintenance.
We're going to property owners.
Violation, notice violation, some days.
Citation after that, so we.
Do we have anything for be able to have the authority to do it as property maintenance, or do we have to put it in?
Right, yeah, so the way that code enforcement, property maintenance enforcement generally works is 90% of the people, when you hit them with a notice, they're gonna comply. It's that extra 10% that you have to go extra miles to chase. And it's, the whole effort is one where you're increasing pressure along the way, where you're increasing monetary fines and penalties to all the way up to gets to an extreme forced property to be sold. I don't think we'd be doing that for basketball on the street, but that's kind of generally the spectrum of what it takes a lot of time and a lot of money to get there.
Theoretically, right now, someone that's a big problem in the street, and so we have a problem. This officer is a little bit crazy. This would just be changing that future, theoretically, there's a big. The problem, it's expected to be.
Yes, correct. It's not gonna take away the police authority, it would give additional authority.
Would that hurt us?
Whatever in terms of extra time for the police department and chase them.
Well, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike.
I don't think I want to tie up my L&I department seeking out basketball violators for playing in the street. I mean, I don't want to make that a priority for them.
No,
I mean-
neither do I, but you have it's only a handful.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is they play the game because they take it out of the street, put it on the curb, which is fine.
Mhm.
It's out of the street. Then 2 days later, the same property is right back out. So they keep going back and forth with it. So and then if people want to park there in front of their house, not gonna, I mean. it's
All
not-
we're trying to do is get them out of the way of the trash trucks and the plows.
That's it.
We don't have to make it this complicated. Just whatever, is the easiest way.
Have we tried a letter to them to explain what the main issue is?
That's fine. I just.
To
brought
give
it
them
up to
both the
say-
authority, then we use whoever we have to.
How do you-
Yeah. Just do what Joe said. You just give them both the authority.
Yeah, I mean,
So how do you give the property maintenance authority?
Traffic.
Whatever.
Yes, there needs to be an expectation set with the staff, with the public works department, with the board. But if you like a violation, it's a possibility that you're not moving that from the street. You would be in a case of moving the system. So you would sit on a 45-day complaint about the risk of not the food. You just need to know that that's a reality. The police department.
just give it to both of them, so we have options.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, yeah.
Why is this basketball next to you?
So it's better that the police just handle it, not the L&I department.
It sounds like. Sounds like.
Correct, George? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it's more.
If you're gonna write it, just write them both in. I know, I'm never buying my grandkids a basketball court now. But
But you need to run the streets.
yes, so you give it to both.
Wait a minute, I doubt very seriously if kids are playing basketball where we need to plow streets. Obviously, we're plowing streets because it's snow on the ground. So how often are you gonna have kids?
It's a lot with the trash trucks running them a lot. I mean, we just want them off the street. We're not
All
telling
right.
them they can't
The
play, they
court
can't.
itself, not the
Yeah.
kids. They can
Right.
still play it if it's on the curb in the grass there.
Some people are putting them like halfway out in the road.
Okay,
We just
so
want 'em-
typically kids do stuff trying to make a way. So is it because our parks aren't supplying the basketball courts?
I don't know.
No.
It's not that?
It's just-
All right. Okay. It sounds like it's a rampant problem. I mean, there's a lot of energy for basketball courts. It's something that
Well, some
I'm,
people. put
maybe
them in
I'm
the
just
deck and
not seeing it.
Abandon them, they leave and sit,
They
and
leave
then the
it.
trash truck's gotta go around every week and.
Yeah.
As long as they're out of off the road, they're fine.
So it sounds like then the complaint isn't the township, isn't the residents, it's more or less township.
Yes.
Nah, some of the residents too,
Well, some,
because they may be out there playing.
they can't
nine,
park,
or
neighbor
they
can't park somewhere.
on some of the streets that are small in town.
Okay.
The concern is the net being left in the street on a continuous basis. And if you have emergency vehicles or trash trucks that they need to get through, it could hinder it.
I mean, I'm in favor of both having the ability to go and issue
I'm
a
not saying-
citation. And,
But-
yeah,
No, we
Right.
don't want them to. We want them to
Right.
learn
And
it.
if they can't, the police
yeah,
can.
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
George, one question though, if somebody outside the police force issues that citation, do we have to wait the 45 days to have an officer follow up with an additional citation?
Oh, no, the officer can still follow.
Okay,
So,
well, hopefully with that first citation, they'll remove the court. And we won't need a follow up.
Next, the record retention. Questions raised as to whether we want to do an ordinance to allow us to digital record retention, which is allowed under the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission. We have to do it under certain standards. It's a PDF A, which is a higher level standard. But to do that, we will need to adopt it for the ordinance.
Yeah, so for the best, I think it's really surprising documents around the. So we're at a point now where is identifying documents that really want to we have the ability to digital records, access to the digital records, paper copies. So, for instance, there's probably $30 that we look down, but there's that have gotten from the law. We're now sitting for 7 years, but we can never go back to the all of them. So, the hearing that we will address this and we will slowly truly roll this out. Where we identify the various documents, various departments that we know. Security, digital format, digital access, and then we say, the policy on the board, but the division, which we not doing citizens, this just build another office.
So that's it for the ordinance request, or that sounds like that one and the basketball one. Yeah, those will go over.
So, wait, just to beat a dead horse to death, I'm gonna talk to my L&I department about their feelings, pros and cons, and then the full sheet.
Okay, well, do you want me to hold off then into, to do any drafting?
Well,
You have that-
Yeah, maybe we can talk to Bill.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think that'd be a good idea.
It just won't go away.
I just don't want to agree to something without talking to them.
2671 Rockhurst Avenue, we have it's a lot line change. We submitted a 90-day extension request that'll be on your agenda to approve. I know they're still intending to probably come before us. So the hope is to get it, even though we're extending it 90 days, the hope is to get it done within 90 days. The next two are boring but important legal policies. The first one is computer and cell phone usage policy. That's to update and address our staff and employee computer usage. Make sure, among other things, you can't use your cell phone while you're driving. So those are both updates. The next sanitation truck camper policy, we discussed this last month. Total policy, but this is to allow for the dash cam cameras for our trash trucks. Of course, whatever we do, that we have to create a policy. We make sure that we're preserving whatever data we need to do, and there's a great policy how we process it. Next, traffic signal easements. We have 4 that are underway. We've gotten responses from, I'll say 3.5 of them. They're 3 of them have their attorneys looking at it. We expect them back for order. The 4th we just recently heard from, so we are waiting to get those in. But we want to get those in pronto because we need to get the projects forward. Those are Energy Transfer, parent company, Zero Navy Street, and AutoZone and Railroad. So we hope to have those on our agenda to approve for later this month. If not, our other option, of course, is to use power of eminent domain to take the easement based in front. Either way, we'll have a recommendation. That's why.
Thank you. Anybody have anything for the solicitor?
Just two updates. Mike, is there any updates on the car wash zoning variance? And the company that wanted to storage the container, the containers, I think they were looking for like
Yeah, so
a 20-foot variance or so.
the car wash, that was continued from last month. I don't think we've had it yet this month, right?
I think it's next Wednesday.
Yeah, they, the car wash people didn't submit their letters to the neighbors and the
Correct.
notices that they had to give.
Correct.
So that's why that was extended for the storage trailer thing, whatever that was,
Mhm.
modular units. That was heard before the zoning board. My understanding is it didn't reach a decision and they had some concerns over.
So they're both going to be before the board again this month. I guess that's what,
I believe so. Last Thursday.
that should have been my original question. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Anything else for the solicitor? Now we'll go to the manager.
Good evening,
George.
everybody. The minutes are in the administrative section. So admin reports on file. Library project change order and library project payment request. We have not received this information yet, so I'm not sure if this is actually going to make it on the agenda. If this does come in the next week or so, I will ensure that it gets out to everybody. Record disposal resolution, and the binder is a resolution approving the disposal of certain records that have been pulled out of the records room that we just spoke about. We need to digitize. Administrative vehicle purchase, this was something that we spoke about previously, so we went out and got a vehicle from Marple Ford, so ratifying that purchase will be on the agenda. Energy purchase agreement, I'm not sure if you remember previously, we were with a company for quite some time. We had an issue where a predatory company was able to fall and switch over some of our accounts. We lost a very good energy purchase deal because of that. So for a while, we've been doing short-term agreements until we came up to a point where we could join the Municipal Utility Alliance through Constellation. So they're now part of that group. That's a good group to be part of, and we'll be locked in for it's a variable rate for 5 years, but the variable rate is only on 2 components, so it's pretty much a straight rate. Especially with all of the activity at the state level for capping of some of these things, this is going to be a great deal for us. Next item, Chief Thomas Bush has indicated to me that he will be entering a drop retirement effective March 13th. So the retirement request, we will have to add Chief Thomas Bush.
Request denied.
With our renovations across the hall, there's been some equipment that we no longer need, including a printer copier machine. So we'll have a request to sell certain township equipment. We'll put that up on the municipal bid and see if we can get rid of it. Earlier tonight, we heard the EMS study. We'd like to bring that forth as a resolution about that study. Is this something you want to do this month, or do you want to hold off till next month? It's up to you guys.
Well,
I don't think anything's going to change at this point.
nah, it's just a study with the recommendations for them, and we could do the talking about what the recommendations were between us and them.
Yes, we'll do the
Basically.
resolution. I think again, it's a study, it's a good study, and if we focus, every study has recommendations, and the recommendations go in this like hierarchy of like, this is stuff that we can control, and we can do fine. This is stuff that we can influence and possibly get done, and this is stuff that's in our purview. So like what we've been doing, let's focus on what we can get done and execute on that. We've got the planning commission report was provided to us by the planning commission. That's up for adoption. We've had a public works employee start full time this week, so we'll be ratifying that hiring. And then this is just an update. We believe we're going to need about 5 temporary employees for the public works department. It's on the budget, so we'll go ahead and start advertising that. So we're going to have that as an announcement. We'll announce that we're hiring for seasonal help. It's not a commission. And other than that, I did receive word last night that the Heart and Soul video that Andrew helped make through the township's communications contract won the national award for Heart and Soul videos.
Good.
So, and then in conjunction with that, good job, Andrew.
Where's he at? There he is.
Stand up.
And in conjunction with that, they've asked me to come to speak at a conference in Ocean City, Maryland in June, so I'll be.
You just wanted to go.
Just have to be in Ocean City.
That's to be
in June.
yeah. Invited you, huh? Not us? Yeah, I know.
Literally, a guy sent me a text of the quote that I said that he keeps on his quote. So I don't know, maybe I'm kind of a big deal. That's all I have. Thank you.
Does anybody have anything for the manager?
Just number 8, the EMS study adoption. Are we adopting it or not adopting it?
Yeah, we'll put together a resolution without the study and if you
Okay.
had time to review the study. There's some good information in there that we can give us tidbits that they can take to look the service and go from there.
Okay.
Anything else? We're moving along to a treasurer's report. It's Miss Caitlin.
There are no escrow releases this month. There are 3 trash exonerations up for consideration in the amount of $1,131.90. The tax collector report is in your binders tonight. The list of bills is also available in your binders for a total of $1,135,599.56. And the financial reports will be available at the board of so. How does that look?
Anybody have anything for the treasurer? George, what is the number for the threshold for the trash exoneration to be able? Is it 45,000? So it's not the 45. Right,
They have.
so the top is 45,000 or it could be less. Oh, okay, that's why I just wanted to know the top rate, not anything under in follow. Okay. Thank you. We'll move, if that's it, we'll move along to our commissioners, Vice President Joe Biacco.
One first?
Yep.
Thank you. All my reports ain't on file yet. I don't even want to see in there so far as the stormwater, so I should have them by the meeting in 2 weeks. Just a couple quick updates. I thank the board for giving the highway department their new wheel loader last month. The force main project on Market Street started back up for the sewer authority because the weather, they were down for a while. They're down to where Chichester Avenue and 452 meet. And they only go from there to right down to 9th Street and connect right there somewhere, and hopefully that project will be done. That's all I have unless anybody has any questions.
No questions. We're moving on to Commissioner Gaudioso.
Thank you again. Good evening, everyone. Looks like my reports are on file. If anybody has any questions on them, you can contact me or Bill. Also, just for disclosure, myself, Bill, and Charlie Romali are going to be meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Just to discuss duties that Charlie is performing to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Anybody have anything for Commissioner Gaudioso? Now we'll move along to Commissioner Larry Hollis.
Good evening, everyone. Looks like my reports are filed. I don't have anything additional to add. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out.
If not, we'll move on to my report. The emergency management report is on file. The fire marshal is on file. It's kind of tough to get to EMS report still this early for them. But I just want to thank the board and for the study. It was a long process for them with all the data. You'll see that in the one part of the report. I'm glad that there was a lot of positive for the EMS that we're doing something right, not just for us, but for the community. Because we were tested with the hospitals being shut down and they adapted pretty well.
So I want to thank everybody with that. Take, read over this study itself, because it does do a little more in depth than what we had tonight. So also, I do have a little announcement, for the Upper Tri Fire Department. I know there's a bingo on the 28th. That's a cash bingo for the library. But the fire department's also going to have a bingo Sunday, March 22nd from 12 to 4. And it's a designer bag bingo. So if you want a designer bag, you might want to go win one. This one's a little different. It's got 12 to 4, includes lunch buffet, a 4-hour open bar with beer, wine, and soda. 8 rounds of bingo, door prizes, and stuff like that, and I think they're gonna have baskets. This one's a little steep, it's $55 per person, benefits the fire department. So if you're into the Coach designer bags, the micro bores, and a Kate Spade, whoever they are. They're gonna have a bingo on March the 22nd, and I think their tickets are going pretty fast. I think they only had about 20 left, so that's a good thing for them. Also, just a reminder to the commissioners, if you haven't responded, please do for the seniors 49th seniors banquet. It's coming up the 22nd. Yes, Sunday the 22nd, 1 to 4, and it's at Harry Savoy. So,
And that's mandatory for new commissioners, right?
yes, it is. And their wife. You already in? Does the wife know? Okay. So does anybody have anything else? If not, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?